All right. I think now is a great time to start. Once again, for those who have come in a little bit later, my name is Mara Johnson. I use she, they pronouns. I'm an admission counselor here at PLU, Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington. Thank you all so much for joining us today on our You Ask, We Answer webinar, all about Study Away and what that looks like here at PLU. We've got some amazing folks here from the Wong Center, Scott Rogers, Megan Grover, and Tasia Watson, and they are experts in all things Study Away here at PLU, and they'll be able to share a little bit more about what that could look like as a student experience for you coming to PLU. So I'll take off the reins for myself and let you all introduce yourselves and get right into the presentation we have for today.
Okay, thanks, Mara. All right, why don't we introduce ourselves individually and then we'll get started. So, hi everybody, I'm Scott Rogers. I'm a faculty member in the English department. I teach courses in writing and rhetoric and literacy studies. I am also currently the interim executive director of the Wong Center for Global and Community Engaged Learning, which is the office that handles our Study Away programs. I'll pass over to Megan.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to virtual PLU. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this space. My name is Megan Grover. I've been serving here at PLU, working in global education for 18 years now, so maybe older than some of you have been alive. But I'm really pleased to engage with you today, answer some questions, and talk with you about different global education opportunities. And we have Tasia, who can go next.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tasia. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a fourth year student here at PLU, and I also now work for the Wong Center. So I'll also be talking to you a little bit about my experience and time studying abroad. Super happy to be here. And then full transparency, I am a little bit sick. So if my voice sounds a little weird, that's why. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here and share with you the student's perspective. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to offer just a quick overview of global education at PLU and maybe kind of the why of Study Away. And then Tasia is going to talk about program options and her own experience as a Study Away student. And then we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. Whatever you want to know, we're open book. We like to talk about this more than most other things. So we ask us any questions and we'll be excited to answer them. Okay, so just in terms of global education at PLU, one important thing to know about PLU is that a global perspective is absolutely rooted in our core values. It's part of the mission statement. We talk about care for community and we talk about care for the earth. This means that we always take a global view and we work hard to understand the interconnectedness of people and resources and places and kind of the human natural world, and also the experiences and stories that bind us together as human beings. These are all kind of central to what we do here. All academic programs at PLU embrace this challenge to learn, to make change in our home communities, but also to work in dialogue and collaboration with communities around the world. And this is one of the things that I love most about PLU. Our students want to change the world. They are out there seeking adventure, seeking opportunity. They use what they learn to build knowledge, but also to build communities, to build friends and friendships and collaborations that they can leverage in all sorts of different facets of their life. You'll notice that we use the phrase study away instead of study abroad, which is what you'll often hear in these kinds of conversations. The reason for this is that we're committed to providing students with off-campus learning opportunities locally and globally. So we have study away opportunities in the US and abroad. We have funding available for research and travel for domestic and international programming. We support community programs here in Parkland and Pierce County area. We do it all. But we take this kind of big tent approach to the idea of global education and recognize that the global is here as much as it is anywhere else. Okay, and one last thing I want to talk about is kind of thinking about a why study away. So I'm going to offer you 4 reasons that come up a lot in my conversations about why one would want to consider studying away. So the first one is cultural immersion and global perspective taking. So living in a new country allows for deep hands-on understanding of customs, traditions, and worldviews, and it makes students more adaptable and more culturally sensitive. A second one, which is a really important one in our current climate, is enhanced employability. International experience is highly valued by employers. It signals flexibility, independence, and problem-solving skills that not everyone will have in an application cycle. It'll make a resume stand out, and I always tell students it gives you something really cool to talk about in an interview. If you can tell a story about your study away trip, not everyone's going to be able to do that. And research shows that folks who have international experience have higher earning potential in some fields, which is obviously valuable. Language acquisition is another reason to study away. So if you're interested in learning a new language, immersion is the way to do it. This will be the fastest way to achieve proficiency. And this is another kind of feather in the cap of someone on a job search, especially if you're looking for kind of a globally aligned career. And then the fourth one is personal growth and self-discovery. So this is an opportunity to challenge your comfort zone, to step outside the norm and to move away from the things that you know, your daily routines. And the result is personal development, self-confidence, resilience, maturity. New environments allow us to discover new strengths, things we didn't even know about ourselves, to ask questions of ourselves that we didn't know to ask, and to find new perspectives that we maybe thought we'd never even have access to. So it really opens up the world in terms of how we see ourselves and understand ourselves as part of it. So those four reasons. There are lots of reasons, but those are four big ones, at least for me. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Tasia, who is one of our experts in Wong Center programming, and she's going to walk you through some of the opportunities available at PLU.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. So I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little bit more about Study Away at PLU and some of my story personally. And so I'll be sharing my screen. And see. Okay, can you see my screen? If I go up.
Looks great, Tasia.
Everyone can see it? Okay, awesome. And so, yeah, I'll be telling you a little bit about studying away and my experience. So first, who am I? My name's Tasia. I use she, her pronouns. I'm now a fourth year, so I'm graduating pretty soon, sadly, but I'm also excited. I am a gender, sexuality, and race studies major, and I also have minors in communication, Hispanic studies, and Peace Corps prep. And by this time, I've accumulated quite a bit of study abroad experience or study away experience that I'm really happy to share about. I spent a spring semester my sophomore year in Trinidad and Tobago, the Twin Islands in the Caribbean. I was also selected as a Peace Scholar. That is a specialized program we have every year where we send 2 students a year to Norway for around 6 weeks to study peace and dialogue. And so luckily I was selected. So I spent a summer in Oslo, Norway. I also did a fall semester this past fall in Oaxaca, Mexico, and I got to engage in some of that language learning and immersion. And then I've received 2 research grants, which is another great thing that the Wong Center does. I'm part of a Black Girl Research Initiative on campus. And so we got funding to go to the ASH conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which was really cool. And then I applied for an individual student grant to return to Tobago this past January. And so as you can see, the Wong Center has many opportunities, and I've really tried to soak them up, and I'm super excited to share about all of them and more. And so some of the things that I learned from my time away that I'm really glad to have learned, one of my favorite things and most important points is to center gratitude. That was something really important for me because I wasn't very well traveled before studying away, actually. This is most of the traveling I've done. And so it's really cool that the way our Wong Center works allowed me to do this so much and also graduate on time. And so I know it's a big privilege to be able to travel and study abroad, especially for so long. So gratitude is really important to me. I also built a lot of flexibility and perseverance. You know, my favorite thing I like to say is that when you're studying abroad, you're always learning, whether that's inside or outside of the classroom. And so that's one of my favorite things. Three, I built a new relationship to time. That one's really interesting. That's just something that was personally interesting to me, how time works and functions differently in different countries. Here in the United States, we have our schedules and our routines, but time works a little bit more fluidly or maybe even stricter in different countries. And so that was really cool. And then fourth, I built confidence in myself as a quote unquote academic. I usually wouldn't title myself that way beforehand, but through adapting to different systems and learning in different universities, I really feel like I've built confidence in myself. My point five is how to challenge my worldview. That was really cool to be able to exchange ideas with people from very different backgrounds, with very different beliefs than I do have, and also be able to do so respectfully, which was really great. And then six, how to push myself outside of my comfort zone in general. You do so many things, you engage in service and internships and meet new people. And I think it just makes you a really well-rounded person when you come out of studying abroad. And so those are just some of the things that I've learned. I always like to share pictures too and give a visual of studying abroad. So here's some pictures from my time in Trinidad. My favorite thing, one of them is that you get to participate in Carnival, and you also get to learn a lot about the history of Carnival. You learn dance, you get to participate in the whole experience. We also learned about different historical characters like the Blue Devil, which is pictured on the left. And so there's just a lot of really cool cultural opportunities in this program. And so that was my first one that I did. And then, like I said, I also spent some time in Norway. And so I don't consider myself a hiker. So this is hitting my point of like pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Even though I was lagging the group behind, I did hike. I did backpack up our hike in Oslo. And so that was really cool. And then that is a picture of me on a Ferris wheel. You get recreation time as well. So you can also, get different experience while studying abroad, not only inside the classroom. These are some pictures from my time in Mexico. The bottom is my anthropology class. I took some really, really cool classes, and I really built confidence in my language level. I was very, very nervous to go to Oaxaca, but the immersion's really the best. You get a homestay family. So you can just see throughout all of these different pictures how many different experiences I was able to get through the Wong Center. And so you can spend a week in Mexico City. That top left picture was taken there. And then we also got a cool experience of getting to dress up as Catrinas, which are also like another historical way of dressing up, and doing a photo shoot with my friends. And so, yeah, there's a lot of range of experiences. But my favorite thing, and I would say the most valuable thing about studying away, is the people that you meet along the way. I just think that's my favorite thing. I could talk about it all day. You meet other students from PLU that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. So you return home with some friends that are close by. You meet students from different states. I have a lot of friends in Minneapolis. And then you also can meet people obviously outside of the country. And so it's really cool to build your network and friend group of people all around the world. And so, yeah, for some of the logistics, or maybe if you're curious in other locations as well, I'll just explain a little bit about our programs here at the Wong Center and how they work. And so we have something called gateway programs, which means that they're PLU owned and operated, usually operating every year. These are semester programs. And my favorite thing about PLU and what was able, PLU's Wong Center and how I was able to study abroad is that your scholarships apply. So you are charged the same amount to study away and live in a different country that you are to study away and live at PLU. And so that was really great for me. My scholarship fully applied, and that's how I was able to do so many times. But our 8 programs usually are Chengdu, China. That one's suspended, but we even have a substitute program for that right now. So we still have another semester program in China, Oaxaca, Mexico, Norway, Oslo, Norway, Oxford, Namibia, Vestfold, and Trinidad and Tobago. And so these ones recur every year for the semester. We also have many more locations. So if you have a specific country that you'd like to study abroad in, we have connections to featured programs or third-party programs like SIT or GEO with, I think we have around 40 semester programs in total. So if none of those locations speak to you, we offer many more. I could only fit 8 on the screen, but I even had a friend who went to Indonesia a few years back and she loved it. And so, yeah, we also have many more options if any of these inspire you. And then obviously beyond semester away, we have our J-term or short-term programs. These are just some that are happening in 2027 next year for our application cycle now. But for example, China, the Bahamas, Uruguay, Northern Ireland, England, Mexico, France, Czechia, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Switzerland, and Tobago are just to name a few. And so These are also really cool short-term programs that you can go to at PLU if any of these locations inspire you. But also they switch every year. So there may be different options as you attend PLU. And then of course we have domestic programs as well. This is an example of Holden Village. This past J term, we also had one in Puerto Rico. So, for different reasons, people either cannot or do not want to leave the country, and the Wong Center is more than happy to work with you. We also have a Washington, D.C. program. So, if you would be interested in doing for something like an internship, also while staying in the United States, the Washington, D.C. program also is through our Wong Center. And so, like I said, many, many opportunities here at the Wong Center. And then I won't go too in depth about the money, but we have our Global Scholar Award, which gives a big sum to students. We always hype up or try to promote the Gilman Scholarship, which is a national scholarship. That Peace Scholars program that I talked about, where I went 7 weeks in Norway, that was fully funded by PLU. So my credits, my flight, my housing, my food was fully funded. That one was really great. We have a Scandinavian Cultural Center Study Away Scholarship that gives $2,000 to students, even if they're not studying away in a Scandinavian country. And then, of course, those research grants. So if you have any research interests, the Wong Center is also willing to help fund those. And so, yeah, lots of support, lots of ways to study abroad. I hope I didn't take too much time, but I'm super happy that I was able to share with you my experience. And I'm also excited to hear any questions that students have up to this point. So yeah, thank you for listening to me, and I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thanks so much, Tasia. I appreciate all of that information. It was really well-rounded, talking not only about your personal experience, but what can study away look like in general for students. Building upon some of those points that you touched on, as well as you, Scott, I was wondering if the three of you could kind of share. I know a lot of students that I've talked to this year, even coming in as first-year students, are really excited about even the potential of studying away as a first-year student. Are those type of opportunities available for students their first year here at PLU, and what can that look like for those folks?
I would be happy to answer that. And first, I'll just say I love the enthusiasm. So yes, once you are accepted to PLU, you have access to join in with PLU programming. So if you've been accepted to the university and you have your ePass ready, that means you can apply now for study away. As a first-year student, your earliest opportunity would be to study away during your first J term. So J term is the 1 month January term. There are J term study away courses which do accept first year students. You can apply now for our April 15th deadline to receive consideration, and that's available to you. There is something special about being on campus and making connection and building community at PLU to get a good, strong start. But for students who are ready to explore and begin their study away adventure, J-term by all means is available. Otherwise, if students are interested in doing a semester study away program, the soonest a student could do semester would be during their second year. So they would apply during their first year to study away in their second year. But planning early is key. So that would be my advice.
Thank you so much. And with that, thinking about those different lengths of study away programs that are available to students, I know for a semester away program, a student is paying the same as if they were living on campus for what they pay here. For J term and other lengths of time programs, what does the cost and financial aid look like for those types of programs?
Yeah, thank you. There is a difference there between semester and short term. For January term study away, it is 4 credits, and so you're earning the course credit there and all of your travel. And so for that, we come up with a program fee that will cover the cost of the experience. And that program fee is charged to the PLU student account. And so it is an additional out-of-pocket extra cost above and beyond your regular tuition and other fees for the year. But what you're gaining through that experience is, a lifetime of memories, like I said, academic credit, and honestly, exposure and access to really unique learning experiences that a regular tourist probably would never have access to. So the J-term study away courses are very thoughtfully designed. We do try to keep our pricing as low as possible to make it as affordable as we can for students. And we do offer need-based funding. We have the Global Scholar Award, which students can apply for, and that would reduce their out-of-pocket expense if they qualify for that funding. I would say on average, a J-term study away program fee is kind of in the ballpark of $4,500, $5,000, somewhere in that zone, depending on the program and where it's located and what's included. Some certainly are higher than that, some are lower, but generally about $5,000 for the full experience. So saving up, planning ahead, and applying for scholarships is the way to go. For a semester study away, the cost to attend is the regular PLU tuition, housing, and meals. And for that experience, you can study away for a full semester with all of your financial aid included. So.
Thank you so much.
Can I
Please,
add?
Scott.
Yeah. So I just want to, so I teach a J-term study away course. I teach the one that goes to Northern Ireland. So I'm super excited about that right now. I just want to add to what Megan said that the kind of the cost of the J-term is out of pocket, and it's not an insignificant amount of money, but it covers a lot. So for the one fee, it's covering your flight, it's covering your accommodations, it's covering things like tours and connections with speakers. It's covering those kinds of fees, entry fees. It's usually covering some of your meals. Sometimes there's a meal stipend. So it covers a lot. On my particular trip, it covers just about everything except lunches, some of your dinners, and then like any trinkets you want to bring home. It covers the vast majority. And then to add to what she said about access, the common tour group trip that has a probably a similar fee attached to it is generally not going to get you the kind of learning access that we can get on these trips. And so we've been developing these over time, and we're affiliated with local universities, local community organizations. We're kind of pre-planning to make sure students have access to important people on the ground. And so it's not simply a matter of, I teach about museums, so it's not just visiting museums, but it's talking to curators, it's talking to locals to see how they respond to museums, it's talking to the people who are featured in some cases in the museums, whose stories are told in the museums. And so you're able to kind of assemble this really complete and dynamic picture of the place that you're not always able to get when you're just kind of touring through with some sort of group.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Scott. One of the things that I find to be so valuable about study away, specifically here at PLU, is through those gateway programs that are PLU owned and operated. I think the ability for a student to be able to have that continuation of globalized education through, many of those programs may have faculty or staff members from PLU accompanying or even teaching some of those classes, and the ability to have courses taught by those professors even before or after they come back from their time studying away can be such an incredible opportunity and invitation for them. I was wondering, Scott, because you have this experience yourself as wearing many different hats, one of them being a professor and teaching studying away, what have you been able to witness students being able to have that type of experience that they don't get to have through other different study away or study abroad programs elsewhere?
That's an interesting question. So I'm thinking about one of the things, my experiences with J-term, so I'll invite Megan to talk about the semester programs and Tasia to talk about semester programs. But in J-term, one of the things that stands out is J-term itself is relatively rare in higher education. And so the compacted January term course is is not super common, but to have a study away course offered within the J-term context means you are kind of participating in this really kind of intensive full court press learning experience where, to Tasia's point earlier, we say when the plane lands, from when you get on the plane and it takes off again, you're in class. Like you're in class sort of 24/7, learning, meeting people, studying, processing new information, kind of getting settled with the things that you're feeling and experiencing and feeling yourself change over time. It's that kind of intensity of the experience that is really critical to the J-term design. One of the things that I think is most valuable is the way that we get to learn together. PLU students, PLU faculty on the J-term trips together. It's only PLU students on those trips. And we get to kind of trouble some of the things that we might have thought. And so one example, as you were kind of prefacing that came to mind, is we do this thing in Northern Ireland called the Human Library, which is a national or international kind of program, but it's places that are kind of interested in telling stories about kind of everyday people in their community. And you can check people out to come tell you their story. And so part of our program, we always check out 4 or 5 books, and we have a meeting where we bring them to our community center where we have our class, and everybody gets to cycle around and meet everybody. And we had one instance where in one single book session, we had the daughter of a police chief who was a first responder at a bombing in Northern Ireland. We had a guy who was the child of someone who had been taken by a kind of a paramilitary gang. We met just a police officer who was there, and we met a British paratrooper who was assigned there, all within the same kind of conversation. And you could see the students fixing their opinions at each person, like, oh yeah, this is the right group, this is the wrong group, this is the one I'm on with, and this is the one I'm against. And then the next person they would talk to, they were like, wait a second, I thought I was supporting this idea, now I'm this. And so they get this crazy depth in terms of what they can understand about the environment they're working in. And then they can go back to the hotel and talk about it, which was the most exciting part of the whole thing. Like, what did you hear? What did you see? How did you feel about that? Wasn't that wild? And so for me, it's just the kind of the intensity of those experiences, and J-term in particular, where it's kind of hard to replicate that in other programs.
Thank you for that, Scott. Tasia, would you like to share at all about your experience with taking all of these different PLU study away opportunities? How have you felt like those opportunities and experiences have connected to your overall whole person as well as student experience here at PLU?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. Well, at least for me, as a person, I feel like I learned so much in every place that I was in. I was so deeply impacted by the program, by the place, the land I was on, the people I was around. I just felt really honestly honored to be there. And so I think that really, I don't know, it humbled me. I think it challenged me in some ways, you have to learn how to adapt. And so I feel like coming back, I've become a really much more flexible person. I can adapt in many, many situations. I also feel like as far as like me as like quote unquote an academic, right? I feel like adding to my major and my studies really, really furthered my learning in ways that I don't think I could get in the United States. Not saying that, we don't have great education here. I'm just saying, learning from Caribbean scholars, from their perspective and from their positionality is entirely different about learning about the Caribbean, in a US classroom, right? And so it was really cool to be able to learn firsthand from people, and not even just in the classroom. Like I said, like talking to my host family about, their opinions on, their lives in the country and how they like it, and maybe their opinions on the US. A lot of people say, in a lot of sessions I've been preparing me for studying away, they say, you're going to learn a lot about the place, but you're also going to learn a lot about yourself, and you're going to learn a lot about the place that you're living in as well. And so it's really interesting. I feel like I have a now just like this really global education that like I wasn't expecting, honestly, when I came to PLU, or I didn't know that I was going to walk out with such a variety of knowledge. And so that's one of my favorite things too, just hearing different perspectives, different people. I think it's made me think a little bit differently in how I move throughout my life, but also how I move throughout school and in the classroom. And so, yeah, I hope that answers the question. And then I think we also have one or two in the chat. So yeah, but
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight, Tasia. Yes, I wanted to make sure that we got to some of those questions in our Q&A box down below. So again, if any of you watching right now would like to share any questions, let us know. There are a number of students who have what you might seem or think of as larger majors that require a more strict schedule of how they get all of their requirements done, or maybe they are a nursing major or an education major, for example, and have to be nearby to have their clinicals, preceptorships, student teaching, practicums, things like that. For those students who are studying something that may otherwise at other places kind of be deemed areas of study that don't allow for flexibility to study away, how are students who are studying that here at PLU able to still have those opportunities and experiences of studying away?
Yes, this is a question that comes up often. And I will just say that generally early planning, coming forward as early in the process, will allow those opportunities to still be available for you. I would also say to keep an open mind and be flexible about the timing of your study away. For example, while it might be the case that a student cannot earn nursing clinical hours while studying away, it is very possible for an intended nursing student to study away and complete general education elements, take classes for elective credit, or take classes to go towards a minor, something like that, while they're waiting to begin the nursing program. So there are different ways to approach it. Careful planning, early planning is key. And we might be able to connect a student with the right program at the right time. We're always about wanting to see what's possible, help students navigate options. Every student's individual academic path is going to be taken into consideration. So we don't have one size fits all kind of programming. We do things very much in a case-by-case, student-specific way. So the programs that worked really well for Tasia and her academic plan is not necessarily going to be the right set of programs for every student. But what we are committed to is working with students, helping them to identify academic, but also personal and professional goals, and doing the matching, laying out options, trying to help students fit this in the best way possible that's going to maximize their opportunities. But to be clear about that, it is true, nursing or some of the other majors might have a few more roadblocks, seemingly, but we like to get really creative and kind of dig in and problem solve with students. So I would just encourage students to come forward early at whatever institution they end up at to fit that in if that's part of their goal. The same goes with students who come to PLU with running start credit. That too can affect the planning. It will just largely depend. It'll depend on what credit you're coming with, what your major is, your overall time at PLU, what kind of programming we offer. That's why we offer one-to-one student advising. So I just encourage students to utilize the study away advising as their best resource for planning for study away.
And Megan, would you say that the advice that you shared for some of those areas of study, as well as running start or students coming in with additional college level credits, would that advice also hold true for student athletes, for example, too?
Absolutely. So yeah, and just to be clear, we 100% do send nursing students on study away. So I do want to give the message. It is very possible. And running start students, they absolutely study away, but it's planning early, coming forward. The same goes for athletes too, or musicians, or students who are involved in theater, or who have, employment or whatever other kinds of complexity. All of that can be taken into consideration. And we can plan with students on the best available option that's going to fit their timing, their budget, their availability, and all of those commitments. Sometimes it will take setting priorities and coming up with goals. Sometimes we can't do all the things all the time. But if there's a way to make it work, we're 100% committed to that and working with students. So different kinds of programming is going to fit differently for students. That's why we offer a range of semester, J-term, summer. It's also why we offer a variety of different program opportunities and experiences, different courses that have different topics, different credit. So we're here to kind of make it as available as we can.
Thank you so much, Megan. The main takeaway here, folks who are listening, be communicative to the Wong Center and to your academic and faculty advisors to make sure that you are getting ahead of the game right when you get to PLU, to make sure you are on track, getting the support you need to take the classes that you need to here, to make sure that you are getting a schedule that works for those things that you're wanting to accomplish. Awesome. Thank you, Megan. The next question I have for you all is, this was a question that was sent in earlier from a registrant, and they are studying a language right now that doesn't necessarily align with a gateway program that is offered through PLU, or a featured program that has been approved already by our university. Are there opportunities for students, for example, who might be studying Japanese, for example, who are wanting to be able to have a study away experience in an area or through a program that doesn't yet exist or is currently approved through PLU? And what does that look like?
Yes, definitely. Well, we think that the, arranged J-term, gateway, featured programs are going to fit most students' needs. We recognize that from time to time there are unique programs and students have goals. And so in that case, a student can come and talk with us and we can chat about what might be available. We also have a petition process. So a student is very welcome to write up a petition to request for a one-time approval to participate in a given program. We would really be looking for the student to make a very compelling academic case, given that these are, in fact, academic experiences. So it is different than just general travel and tourism. These are not vacations, these are academic experiences for credit. So if a student can articulate their academic goals and why a program will meet that for them, we are more than willing to have a look and consider that. We have had situations where we've approved those petitions. So we're happy to work with students on that. The Japan comes up often, I will say. And my general response is we don't offer Japanese at PLU. So for our particular institution, because of the Japanese language, connection, that's not one that comes up frequently as far as study away. But certainly a student could petition. We could definitely chat about it and see what might be possible. Also, summer study away is pretty open, and students can do a variety of different experiences during summer. So that tends to be a nice open time.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing those options for students, Megan. Tasia, it's been really great to hear what your takeaways are of how study away has impacted your student experience through your college career. I would love to hear a little bit more about how you feel like study away is preparing you or challenging you for what comes next after your time here at PLU.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so I think that studying away opened um a possible vocational future that I didn't consider beforehand. Beforehand, I didn't know many things about what global maybe service programs look like, or even possibly different research opportunities. I can tell you that I think that, studying abroad has made me a competitive applicant in different ways. I did an internship over the summer with the city of Auburn, and I got to, as Scott said, talk about my study away experience with the people who hired me. But it's opened, I think, this new way of thinking. For example, I'd really like to apply for a Fulbright. I'm considering to do that. I'm not sure if I'm more interested in English teaching. I think I'm more interested in research. But that's something I don't think I would have considered beforehand. And I think that my experience makes me a lot more competitive, possibly for a Fulbright that I do have study abroad experience, even though that's not required to apply. I just think it helps me feel a little bit more confident in being able to apply maybe for, working outside of the United States at some point, or, teaching abroad at some point. And so I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. Right. But I feel like the knowledge I've acquired and also the connections that I've made make me feel like I have a lot more options that I thought I had beforehand. And so now I feel like, I feel like my bubble, or where I thought I was going, was small before, and now it's kind of expanded. And so I think that's one of my favorite things. Um, and yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm still figuring that out myself, but I definitely feel like I've had some really exciting conversations about what post graduation will look like now that I've studied abroad, and also done some research abroad, which has been really fun. So, yeah.
You have so much time to figure things out. You're still in college yet. You don't have to have it all figured out now. But thank you so much for sharing that. That's so exciting to think that these opportunities that you've really taken a hold of have really opened the doors for what you have been able to discern what your vocation will be looking like, for now and for the future as well. Scott and Megan, I was wondering, would you be able to share, more generally, diving off of Tasia's answers of different opportunities post grad? What do you find PLU students are kind of gravitating towards, through globalized educational experience beyond their time here at PLU? I know students tend to be very involved in Fulbright, for example, as Tasia was expressing before, Peace Corps, things like that. What are students doing after their time?
Can you go first, Megan? Okay. Actually, one of the things that jumped into my head first is Fulbright. So a real feather in PLU's cap is the Fulbright program. We are a nationally recognized Fulbright granting institution, which means that we have had enough successful candidates over the last or sort of span of time. I can't remember how many we've had. That we are recognized by the program as kind of a success story in the Fulbright world. We currently have a student teaching in a rural part of Thailand. And we've had many, many teachers work as part of that program. And that's the thing that jumps out to me that a lot of folks are doing is teaching or educationally aligned activities. So either through the Fulbright program, or we've had students teaching in Spain. We've had folks do all kinds of work where they're kind of educationally focused. We've had Peace Corps students in the Peace Corps. So this sense that they're getting something on these trips that both gives them a leg up in a really, really uh, difficult Fulbright process in terms of how many people are applying and how few people get them, but also giving them a taste for that kind of global experience that they go seeking more, that they want to take their work they're doing here, and whether that's in education or whether that's in something else, and using education as a way to get back out into the world. They're using their kind of time in the program as a step towards that opportunity to find the next adventure, the next place that they can go and bring their PLU values and their PLU sort of goals to help make the world a better place.
I would just add on briefly that, you know, PLU and studying away really prepares students well for their next step. So the skills students learn along the way really allows for a multitude of new opportunities. As Tasia said, making those friendships, building your network, making those connections can often open up new possibilities professionally that if you hadn't studied away and met those folks or spent time in those communities, those opportunities may not have been known otherwise. So
Thank you so much, you both. I know we are coming to the end of our time here today. And I'll just say myself, if it means anything at all, me not being an expert in all things study away, but I had the opportunity to study away a number of times during my college career and has absolutely transformed me into the person I am today. I feel like the skills and the globalized perspective that I gained during that time through those different programs have carried with me every single day of my life, and I am all the better for it, and I continue to grow because of it. So no matter, again, Megan shared this too, no matter where you go, if study away is something that is interesting to you, take the opportunity to do it. My last question I have for the three of you tonight is why study abroad for you, or study away, excuse me, for you, and why PLU? What has brought you here and what keeps you connected to this community? Scott, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I forgot to turn my microphone back off, so I'll go first. I get asked this question a lot, why PLU? And I can tell you the thing I love about PLU, and I think it aligns very much to this conversation, is that PLU is a place where if you can come up with an idea based on your passion and your interest and your investments in the world, we'll find a way to help you do it. And that goes for, I started a literacy program here. I've done all kinds of things here that I had no right to be doing, but I came up with an idea and lots of people came together to help me make it happen. And I see students do this all the time, where they'll have some sort of kind of harebrained scheme or research project they want to do, and then some faculty members will get around them, some of their peers will get around them, and then before you know it, it's happening. And I think Tasia pointed to that in all of the many things that she's done, these kinds of goals that she's got for herself and these visions that she's got for what she wants to do. And this is a place where you can make those things happen. You put in a little elbow grease, like get in there and do the work, and people will come together to help you and support you. So for me, that's the most incredible thing about PLU, and I've never seen it at another university.
I'll just go briefly, but someone very passionate and committed to global education. I'm following my vocation to do this work, and honestly, it's a privilege and an honor to do that here at PLU. It's a very globally focused university with lots of great support from the administration and faculty. Our faculty are incredibly supportive in making study away possible for their students as far as approving the credit, working with students to make sure that they stay on track for graduation. The faculty are also largely our participants in this endeavor also. Scott's just one example of a faculty who leads study away courses, and to partner with them to make this possible is honestly just such fulfilling work. And then finally, I would say not only the commitment of PLU faculty and staff and administration, but honestly the scholarship support. PLU really makes this affordable and accessible, and PLU's belief is honestly that study away should be available for any student, regardless of your major, background, where you come from, if you've had prior travel experience or not. It's a worthwhile endeavor, and I'm just really pleased that the scholarship and funding is so supportive to make that available.
And then I guess I can jump in here. Why study away? Oh my gosh, because you can. I'm just kidding. No, if you can, right? But I really think that, I don't know how in any other time in my life, and I don't know if any other time in my life in the span of 4 years, I'll be able to travel as much as I have here at PLU. You have this time to be a student and learn and get well supported. And I feel like another thing too is it's different than just traveling. A lot of people say that they'll travel when they graduate. I don't know how much vacation time y'all are getting, but I don't know how much vacation time I'm getting. But my favorite thing really about studying away too is you're learning from locals. You're learning with that education perspective, not just touristy, not just visiting for 2 weeks and doing the best things there are to do, but I really learned about the places I was at from people from there. And so I think that makes studying abroad special because you're studying there. You're really engaging and learning in the country. And then why PLU? Because PLU helps you do this. I mean, this is one of the main reasons why I love PLU. I was able to do so much and still be, I mean, for me, I'm from Tacoma, so still be close to home, but still get such vastly different experiences. And so I think that's the coolest thing. PLU wants to help you. You come back and it's still this tight knit community. I still see the same people who are like, oh, I saw you posting about you're studying abroad. And so you also have this really close knit community to come back to. I think that's one of the benefits of PLU being small, but then also giving you this time to step away and return. And so I feel like I got a really great range of experiences from studying away and from the Wong Center. And so, yeah, those are my those are my answers. Yeah.
Thank you so much, the three of you. Absolutely hit the nail on the head with those responses. For those of you who are listening now, but also through our YouTube once we post it up, if you want to be able to connect with these folks in person, I know typically the Wong Center has a table at our academic, student involvement, and student resource fair during our admitted student days. So come please register for an admitted student day and be able to connect with them during that. But also, if you want to get connected and reach out with any questions to send to your admission counselor, they'll be able to make sure that they get those answers to you directly from the source, the experts at the Wong Center, or even connect you directly from our staff at the Wong Center to get you all the information you need to be able to see what your experience could be like here at PLU. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, panelists, for your time and dedication as well, and your insight and expertise. Have a wonderful evening and get home safe.